Welcome to the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast. This podcast is for those who seek answers from above, guidance and magical inspiration.
Immerse yourself in the realms of magic, angels, fairies, unicorns, dragons, and so much more. I'm Kirsty Jandrell, and I'm delighted to be here with you today.
And I am Kate Lachman.
Hello, welcome everybody to this week's episode of the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast. And Kate and I are extremely excited because we are welcoming back the amazing Tim WHILD. So welcome, Tim.
Morning, Kirsty. Morning, Kate. How are you both?
Really good, thank you. And you are actually the first guest to reappear on the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast. So thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. We had a wonderful chat the other time, and it seems like the more summery months are almost a lifetime ago with the speed at which the energy is moving. So it's nice to kind of revisit and see where we are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it was back in May, which, as you say,
wow,
seemed
yeah,
a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it's another dimension altogether, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So for those of you who are not familiar with Tim, and I'm sure most people are, Tim is an Ascension expert, author, Atlantean, international speaker, and also a crystal expert from Dorset in the UK. And he's been delivering amazing Friday Ascension updates and beautiful Monday meditations for many years now. And he's such a touchstone for light workers and beautiful souls who have stepped onto the Ascension Path. So thank you, Tim, again. And yeah, we were going to dive in, weren't we? Because you've recently, well, it's probably not recently now, it's about 6 months ago, you released a beautiful oracle deck along with Miriam Beck and illustrated by Vivian DeLorean, called Your Inner Light Forge.
Yeah.
So I think, Tim, you're going to pull a card for us, aren't you?
I am indeed. They've been you're absolutely right. They've been a real labour of love this year. And this is the card deck, Your Inner Light Forge, co-created by Miriam Beck, myself, and Vivian of Lorient and her amazing artwork. And of course, I will bring a card through for our collective session this morning. Yay! Now, I have got my reading glasses on, so I will be able to read the text because we've managed to fit an awful lot into that kind of card-sized booklet that comes with the deck. So let's just see who's joining us this morning. I did give them a little shuffle before because I'm not the world's best card shuffler. They usually kind of like erupt everywhere and make me look really daft. So, oh, I like that, and that's one I haven't had before. So, Sacred Spring, water. And the text on the card is blessings, Christ-light, deep cellular healing. And of course, this is with Vivian's beautiful artwork. So I will go to the part of the book and just read a little bit from the text. 126. There we go. Okay. Submerge yourself in water and allow it to soothe and heal you right down to the deepest cellular level. Drink pure water and bless everything that enters your body. Water is the primary element of all living things, and our body consists of 90% water. Water carries the most incredible abilities, and on a physical level, water can effortlessly move rocks like nothing is an obstacle. It can change its state into gaseous and solid like no other element, depending on the temperature, but its essence remains untouched. Water records and carries information, holds the high vibration of the Christ frequency. Everywhere on our beautiful planet, there are places with sacred springs containing water of the purest and highest vibration. These are mostly primordial sources and high-frequency places where energy lines cross. Emerging from the heart of the earth, these springs nourish and supply everything around them. They are sacred places that have always magically attracted people and animals to drink, bathe, meditate, and perform initiations. Here we have particularly strong access to the spiritual world and the elemental planes. So it's all about the water today.
So beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
considering that we're based in England, we're getting plenty of that at the moment, aren't we?
I was just going to say, I'm actually surrounded by it at the moment. It's absolutely pouring down where I am. I don't know where you guys are.
Yeah.
Love that. And I hope it's gonna also weave into the next question that we wanted to ask you, Tim. And we thought it might be helpful. And we all love to hear all the little nuggets from you and the big nuggets as well. Talking about the current energies as we continue along the Ascension Path. Can you give us a quick or a long update, Tim? What are the energies at the moment? Maybe what to expect, and maybe some explanatory of what we're feeling right now as well.
Absolutely, Kate. I'd be more than happy to, because it's been so full on. And I know that we spend most years kind of almost, it's almost become habitual talking about our rites of passage and how we're feeling and the energies and the downloads. But I've never, and I probably touched upon this in May, with a sense of expectation for the remainder of the year. But I don't think any of us could have predicted how physical this year has actually been. It's been the term that comes to me is pressure tested. So say, for example, an oil rig, when it finds a new site to drill for oil, will place its pipe within the earth, but it will pressure test the hole to make sure that it's stable and that the whole thing doesn't explode. Or if you've got a fuse board and an electrical current is running through new wire, you have to test it to make sure that the fuse can hold the current that's coming through it and it doesn't blow. Well, I see us in a very similar way at the moment, that we are constantly and repeatedly raising our frequency, and every time we do, we have to be pressure tested. So it feels like we've been through this process about 20 times this year. There's been so many jumps forwards, and then we get tested for it, and it's exhausting. It's as we move into kind of the middle of October, we've just had that week of continual sun flares. We had the very powerful full moon, and then we had I think it was a solar eclipse in Libra, which is my moon sign as well. I really felt that. It's definitely, I got sofa locked by that. But my continual guidance is for us as light workers to really focus on what we need. It's as the kind of the truth of our pathway emerges and the nonsense is ramped up in the 3D matrix, we've got to bring it back to the core of our point of creation, which is us. So if we're creating from a point of distraction, if we're creating from a point of impurity, if we're knocked out of balance all the time, then that's going to reflect in our outside world. And so what we're being asked to do now is to be really vigilant about how we manage our own resources, our own time, our own energy, and also what we plug into and what we feed our energy into. So it's very easy to go onto YouTube or to Facebook or wherever and listen to or kind of immerse ourselves in the doom-laden politics of the world or what's happening. But the higher realms are saying, do not do that. Focus on you, focus upon nurturing yourself, the energy, the Christ light within the waters of your body. That card was very appropriate for where we are. You know, take a bath, stand under a waterfall, go outside on the wet grass with bare feet, ground your energies in, bring it back to a point of purity. And by the time we reach the December solstice, we are going to be looking at a a percentage on this planet where 50% of the people will have begun to connect to their higher selves on this world. It was 37% at the beginning of the year. It's around 43 or 44% at the moment. So we're looking at achieving another big jump in the next couple of months. Now, in order to make a jump like that, you have to push people. People have to be pushed. They have to be triggered. They have to be initialized into this state of kind of embodying their ascension process, acknowledging their awakening. If you want to get out there, if you want to help and guide the people that are just waking up, then that's what you do. Be very guided, be very self-guided in what you're applying your energy to. That's where we are with the energies at the moment.
Beautiful, Tim. Thank you. And as you say, that card's because you know, 90% water, and it's that, you know, maintaining that frequency and that alignment and that sovereignty almost. But I was also getting from that the need to almost surrender and not resist, but sort of just, you know, go with the flow as well, and move around obstacles and you know, bump up against them. So it's lovely. But yeah, so exciting. But no wonder we're all feeling exhausted. So thank you for that sort of affirmation that it's okay to be feeling like that, really, because I think many of us are.
It is okay to be feeling like that. And one thing that I've really noticed, that there's a distinctive shift in the way that people are communicating, and I've really seen that in particularly the past two live events that I've been hosting. And Kirsty, you were at the one prior to this on the equinox, where instead of, you know, in a position as teacher or speaker, I would usually just be standing up there and I'd be like speaking all day, and people would be listening and receiving, and there'd be powerful meditations. But particularly in alignment with Karen Main, who I've been working, we've been like, what's everyone got to say? Okay, what are the light workers of the world feeling? What are we experiencing? What are we going through? Let's all sit in a circle and really talk about it. You know, acknowledge our feelings, see each other. And it's becoming really we're really kind of going back to basics and starting to be real. That's the only way to describe it. No more masks, no more airy fairy nonsense. That's the one thing that I've kind of glossed over or forgot, the most important point of the energy update at the moment. I got a message from my friend Lexi Wrighton the other day, who was saying, like, you know, Pluto's about to like, you know, put the boot in, so to speak, because we've Pluto, as you know, I'm not an astrologer by any stretch, but I know what's going on astrologically or in my own chart. And one thing I do take notice of is what the generational planets are doing, because they're very important to the overall structure of energy. So Pluto is currently in Capricorn, where it wasn't it moved into Aquarius, where it's intending to stay for the next 200 odd years, as from November the 19th. But at this moment, we're revisiting the old energy, the old Capricorn 3D hierarchical, kind of almost like the Hierophant energy. Thou shalt do, thou shalt be part of the 3D matrix structure. And this is why we're kind of seeing this upsurge of all of these very kind of almost doom-laden predictions, distracting energies. And it's going to be like that until November the 19th. And on November the 19th, we switch and Pluto moves into Aquarius, which is freedom-loving, airy, and for want of a better word, holds the gold print for the future generation of our movement forward into the ascension process. So this 4 weeks is about kind of dipping our feet into the shadow work, should it arise. And if we've all, I feel like I've been doing this all year. I feel like it's just been like 2024. It's just been one big shadow clobber party, you know, like a dive-in fest sort of thing. But there's 4 weeks opportunity now to really revisit the things that maybe we don't want to see and start to love the parts of ourselves that we've ignored, basically. Interesting times.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I think totally. I saw that that lovely. We'll put the link into the show notes because that was your Friday update, wasn't it, with Lexi?
It was, yeah.
Beautiful, actually. But yeah, I'm sure we can all relate to that feeling of, oh my goodness, no, not more layers, not more layers to unpeel. Surely the onion is so small now, there's nothing left. But yeah, and I think it's really reassuring. Thank you, to know that, you know, there's a sort of a tangible break in that energy as we move forward from the middle of November, and you know, we move truly towards the Aquarian age. And yeah, so
it is. And just as kind of a bit of a disclaimer before that, it's not like we're going to suddenly wake up on the 20th of November and everything's going to be funky and fifth dimensional. There will still be a lot of work to do, but we will have the advantage of having this generational planet kind of laying the pathway for us to work within, rather than being deliberately kind of dumped in some oppositional energy, which is bringing all of this stuff up for us. So it's up to us as kind of our own guidance and our own leadership and our own mastery to really take advantage of what's being presented.
You were talking about the initially the whole physicality of this year. I wondered if we could sort of dive back a little bit and explore that in a bit more depth, because, you know, as you say, it's been such a physical year, and Kate and I were both sitting here nodding and in agreement. So I wondered if you could expand on that, Tim, and how that's potentially affecting people at the moment.
It's affecting all of us across the board because we've made an agreement to live at a higher frequency. You know, if we've signed the ascension contract, so to speak, and we've stepped up and we've stepped onto our spiritual pathway, even if we've begun this pathway, or whether we're kind of like, you know, a little bit more seasoned and have been doing it for a while, we've agreed to live at a higher frequency. That doesn't mean just consciously, like, and that means physically. And hence all of the pressure testing and the focus upon the waters of the body, how we program those waters, how clean they are. And so for me, the physicality has been interwoven with what am I doing to myself on a daily basis that's out of alignment with the frequency that I've agreed to move into. And once you start dipping into this, you realize that you really weren't doing everything that you could be doing, and how high that bar of expectation is, where it's not really what's expected. It's simply, well, you want to live like this, you want to be at this frequency, so therefore what are you prepared to let go of in order to do that? And so I've just had release after release all year of habits or things that I have been doing for or with or to myself that are out of alignment with the vibration that I have agreed to and promote on a regular basis. You know, it's, oh, come to 5D, you know, we'll have a wonderful 5D party there, sort of thing. But in order to do so, you have to be in alignment with that vibration. If your body isn't pure, then it will be purified. You will be called to purify it. And that's why it's been so physical. So for me, the biggest one, and this has happened since our last meeting, I've been quite candid about this. I've been using, or I have been using, Ventolin for supposed asthma all of my life since I was 6 months old. Now, at the end of July, I've after continual kind of attention being brought to my breathing, to my lungs, to the way that I, you know, to the way that I interact with the air around me, I suddenly just got this message: throw that inhaler in the bin. You don't need that anymore. Now I'm 52 years old, so that's 51.5 years of using steroids for my lungs because I'd been told that I needed them in order to stay alive, and all of a sudden they're gone. And the detox process from that has been, it's still ongoing. We're talking the end of July, beginning of August. It's now mid-October, and it comes in layers. So all of this stuff needs to leave the body. So others will have maybe given up something either quite small or quite large. It could be coffee, it could be wheat, it could be alcohol, it could be any of the other vast spectrums of allopathic medicines that people are deluged with on a daily basis. It could be a way of thinking, it could be a way of speaking, it could be a toxic friendship, anything that would be bogging your energy down. It's up for release, and this is why all the shadow work is coming in now, because once you work with the shadows, you begin to see what it is that you're hanging on to that is not serving you. And so, yeah, big dive year of physical stuff, all connected to the shadow work.
Oh, thank you for that, Tim. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And water is the main theme today. I feel it very strongly. And again, if we could come back a little bit, I always find autumn, you know, preparing and be ready until the summer, the winter solstice, the December equinox. Could we dive into that a little bit more? How do you see the energies developing? Do you have any expectations of what can we expect once we reach that point? What awaits? And maybe, you know, you've already given lots of tips towards that, but is there anything, you know, underneath on a bigger scale, or maybe on a bigger picture that awaits?
Yeah. Once we get to the December solstice, we're going to get our usual 3-week download of Christ-like. That's unequivocal. But compared to what we've already received this year, that's going to be a walk in the park. I think now what I've really noticed, yeah, what I've really noticed particularly in the last 2 years, instead of focusing on a date, then getting hammered by that date, and then needing to recover afterwards, it's all been one big upgrade. So whereas we'd get the ups and the downs that we did previously, everything is just on a, if it was on a mathematical graph, it'd just be going uphill at like a 25 or even a 50% incline, like straight up like that. And so previously we'd have the high points, like say the solstice or the equinox or the Lion's Gate, and then the energy would come tumbling on down, and we'd get our downtime, we'd get our 3-week period, or then it began to be reduced. It was a week, and then it was 2 days, and then all of a sudden we've got no integration period at all, just a steady rise in frequency. So by the time we get to the 21st or the 22nd of December this year, we're going to have integrated everything that we need to for this particular point up to that gateway. And again, like you say, it's all about the waters. It's about, I mean, the waters of this planet are vital. They contain all of the Christ consciousness, the encoding, there's everything that's coming through for it, and they need purifying. You know, Gaia is calling for cleansing on all levels. But the water that I feel that is the most important is the water within our bodies. Like say, we're 90% water. The joke on Facebook or the meme is we're just basically cucumbers with trauma at the moment. You know? So if you look at it from that point of view, but it's not just the waters that are being upgraded within us or cleansed or purified. The sun flares are creating massive DNA triggers. So that's affecting our nervous systems. It's affecting the entire perception that we have of the world around us. And in order to jump from where we are now to having a golden ratio of 50-50 split of conscious and maybe not so conscious on this planet, we're going to have a big push of energy in between. And that's what we're receiving at the moment. So by the time we get to December, we're going to have, if all goes to plan, this 50-50 balance, this 50% of people in this world who have connected to their higher selves and are ready to potentially step into a state of mastery, of guidance, that we can see. If you're looking in the right places, you can see it amongst everybody out there now. Everybody is beginning to speak a different language, think a different way. And within all of these groups that we would consider like impenetrably 3D and toxic, the people within them are waking up. They're waking up within all of the systems that need to be transformed on this world, but they're not speaking up because they feel that nobody around them will listen to them, or that they're going mad. So the real focus of 2025, moving from, if we're beginning to move into next year, is just making the light field accessible for the people that are waking up, so that we can start to make the changes. And actually, hey, we are all in this. You speak the language, say the things that you need to say, communicate about the things that you're seeing, you're feeling, you're hearing. Yes, you've just woken up. We all woke up at some point, didn't we? Whether we're in this environment or whether we're in a previous environment. So I believe that next year is going to be about really holding that field stable for people to step up and step into it and feel safe. And it's going to be quite a big project.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I love that. And that sort of touching upon that that people are ostensibly being more heart opened, and certainly, talking about in-person events, and I know you've experienced this, Kate, as well. There's such an incredible I've seen personally just an incredible shift in how people communicate. We were talking about this earlier, and the openness of people who perhaps wouldn't necessarily categorize themselves as spiritual, actually diving in and welcoming, and actually being quite thirsty for what we would, I suppose, as light workers see as spiritual practices, things like meditation, or working with crystals, or whatever it is. And then, as you said, there's this element of people feeling safe to express their essence. And I know that it's something that all of us as light workers have had to navigate at some point. And personally, for me, I still am. It's a work in progress. That confidence in being visible, and so following on from that, I mean, apart from us all attending community events and hosting as many as we can, what can we be doing on a personal level, as well, of course, tending to our own frequency and helping people in our environment to feel that openness? Is there anything else we can be doing individually to engender that feeling of safety and comfort, within the wider community, I guess?
I mean, this is quite a massive project, Kirsty, because it's two-pronged. First of all, it provides us with a big initiation, because we have to be honest about who we are and we have to be seen. And that answers the question. It's about being ourselves. So nobody's going to learn from us if we're hiding who we are, if we're pretending that we're still part of the old world. I was joking on Sunday about how if we want to walk down the middle of the high street dressed like we're in Glastonbury, wizard's robes, purple hat, like, hey, I'm Merlin today. This is all becoming far more acceptable than it used to. If you think, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5, 10 years ago, how we communicate and how we express ourselves, things have changed massively. So it's whatever you are doing, the best way to assist those around you is to be as honest as you possibly can be about who you are. Sometimes it might be impossible. You might not be able to be that person in your job, but you can still allow that vibration to come through. If you're in the middle of an office, take your crystals into your desk and set yourself up a grid and just allow that frequency to move out. And this is tough for people. It's a tough process. we're being called to no longer hide who we are. Because the second we allow ourselves to be ourselves, that allows other people to feel safe enough to step into that. And that is what the field is looking for at the moment. The excuse or the safety in order to be, oh my God, I've been thinking and feeling like this for months now. I thought I was going mad. Can I talk to you about this, please? And this is where we all become teachers and where we become leaders and where we become the pillar that people need for those around us that are just waking up. Because otherwise they just stay isolated and they stay quiet and they don't know what's going on. They maybe seek the wrong guidance or the wrong information. If we are just there in our essence, holding that mighty I am presence, that will draw everybody in to be aligned with that frequency. And that's the most magical part about this process. We don't have to stand on orange boxes anymore, telling people how to lead their lives, or, you know, banging the hammer on the pulpit, you know, thou shalt live this way, or you shall be cast into the fiery pits of hell, and all of that nonsense. We just simply act from our hearts. We speak from our hearts. We generate that field of safety around us by being honest. No masks. You know, and again, that's an initiation. Many of us have had masks to navigate the third dimension because what we were previously was unacceptable. Yes, there's still people out there that are going to react to this. You know, it will trigger whatever wounding they might have within their fields. But that I feel quite strongly that kind of reaction is becoming a minority reaction now. The majority of people are looking for the opportunity to start expressing themselves. And no, not everybody's going to want to go to spiritual workshops or collect crystals or believe in unicorns. It's about, you know, particularly with the role of the divine masculine, just being a good person, being that anchor point, protecting those that need to be protected, speaking where others are afraid to speak, doing the jobs that need doing from a heart-centered perspective. So massive changes, and probably not in the places that we would have initially expected.
Oh, that resonates so much, Tim. And I'm always amazed, you know, when I hold space or organizing anything, all of the people that they're coming, they're all masters. And I'm always saying, why do you guys not, like, you're all masters.
Yeah.
And anyone who's coming for him, each person I meet, I don't know if I'm lucky one but they're all masters. And I suppose, you know, mirroring that and it kind of aches me sometimes a bit when they don't see it. And they're like, oh, what you talking about? I would rather hide. I would rather, no, I don't want to see it. And very often being terrified by their own power is not a good word, but their own light, let's say.
Yeah.
And I just feel we're moving into such a beautiful era of everyone being masters, you know, in that Christ consciousness, however you like to call it. And moving on, because you've touched upon that already, what else is will be weaving into, what main themes are coming in the next year? So we have the main theme of holding space for others, right? Being in our true selves, getting rid of all the masks, allowing ourselves to be in the truth. But is there any other main themes? What can we expect in the next year? Any other maybe big events, or what energies we can expect? We had a big, you know, on the body level, and lots of shifts coming this year, loads of clearing. But what's kind of the other themes next year? What can we expect?
I personally believe and feel that next year is going to be about smooth transition. Okay, so we've got our cards are all on the table now. On a light worker level, we're going to see a lot of pushback from what we call the third dimensional matrix, all of the political nonsense, those the powers that were, that how I like to refer them. You know, they did have power in the third dimension, and they did it via illusion and magic and money. None of that matters. And you can see you can see the consciousness of the awakening in the kind of the comments that are being kind of put into social media when this stuff does come out, when the old spells are cast and they no longer have the effect that they used to. So we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see a lot of spells being cast but with no magic behind them. It's so what the biggest and the most important facet of what's going to be going on in the December solstice this year is that when you hit a golden ratio of what we would consider maybe 50-50, the predominant energy takes the charging role on the planet. So previously, we've still been living in the kind of the murky shadows of the third dimension. And of course, that is going to continue to exist until it has been alchemized into its newer format. But what we're going to see instead of that, we're going to feel the influence of this supportive energy, which the heart-centered energy is, I believe, going to feel distinctly more like, a dominant energy, so to speak. Energy will always seek to express itself in its highest form, especially when there's enough of it. So instead of us being kind of like a cluster of minorities all around the world, like groups of light workers doing their important work, all of a sudden we've got this bandwidth of energy that's been formed all around the planet, which is basically the dominant. It's going to be the primary energy, the dominant energy, whatever you want to call it. So it will make creation or manifestation or implementing what we need to implement a lot easier than it was previously. Of course, there'll be pushback, or there'll be resistance, there'll be lessons to be learned, there'll be modes of behavior that need to be changed and be alchemized. But every structure that can be reformed again at a higher frequency we're going to see them starting to change from the inside from next year onwards. What we can't take into the fifth dimension will begin to disintegrate before our eyes. We're actually going to start to see the effects of these changes now. But then we also have to bear in mind that living in a higher timeline, you're not privy to the kind of the walls tumbling down and collapsing. That's not important. We're just forming what we need to be forming at a higher level. So we're going to see a timeline that's a lot more stable, a lot more kind of set than we have done previously, rather than bouncing from frequency to frequency to frequency, feeling like we're in a pinball machine sort of thing. I think if what we want is to feel stabilized, then that is what we will be able to co-create together for next year.
Wow, that's very welcome information. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
do think to a degree, sorry, Kate, I do think to a degree that we as light workers are going to have to kind of maybe consider giving up this perpetual kind of we're in the wars theme that we've got, because we have had it, and rightly so. We start thinking of ourselves as healed, strong, functional beings, rather than, oh my God, it's another, like here come the solar flares, here comes a retrograde, I'm going to hide under my duvet and quiver and do whatever sort of thing, and actually become more proactive in these energies. And so it's become quite a habit, and I'm just as guilty of that as everybody else, kind of thing, oh, the energies today, they're killing me sort of thing, oh, I'm melting, and just become more used to it, really. That's my take on it.
Oh, I love that. And it's I don't know, as you're talking, I just keep thinking, and one thing I've kept sort of reminding myself of this year especially is to just keep focusing on where we're going, and as you're saying, on what we're able to co-create, rather than what's at the side of the path disintegrating as we walk forward. And that kind of focus on, we are creating this beautiful now as well as the beautiful future, where it's almost like the timelines are sort of coming together. I just wondered if you could, I was thinking about the children that are coming forward now, and certainly our children that we have, they seem, I mean, my daughter, I know Kate and I've talked about this, they seem such already in their I am presence, and masters in their own right, and able to maintain that joyous frequency, and but also that sovereignty. And I just wondered if you had any views on how we could continue to support them, really, as parents and members of the community, because I intuitively feel they're bringing so much wisdom with them. I wondered,
absolutely.
what your thoughts were on that.
I think out of all of the ascension subjects that we can kind of dive into, I think the absolutely top of the tip of the pyramid for me is the golden children, and the ones that have been coming through since the kind of like the turn of the millennium, really, sort of like and building up and beginning to kind of implement themselves in the structures. And the most important thing that we can do to be decent guides and parents and role models for these children is to listen to them, to see them, to acknowledge them, but also to be ourselves. Again, this comes back to the maskless honesty that we need, because they will see it regardless. If we're doing the whole kind of like, mum and dad thing, but like do as I say but not as I do kind of thing, you're going to get called out on it straight away. They don't mince their words, these new ones, whether they be younger or a little bit older. They will tell you absolutely straight whether you're full of it or not. And they are the foundation for the future on this planet. This is what we have to remember. They are here to completely throw like a swinging steel ball through the old structures that were previously used to contain and grow perfect third dimensional adults into a perfect third dimensional society. Like wrecking ball straight through all of that. They don't want to know. They don't want poisons, they don't want chemicals, they don't need all of the kind of crappy input, but they will grow in the way that they are guided to do so. And I think we've got to be very flexible as parents also to kind of identify this, to see whether the child is in distress or whether the child is growing and finding, because a lot of these kids haven't been to Earth before. This is another really interesting part. You and I, we all reincarnated again and again before we came down to Earth. A lot of these kids that are coming through now as the future leaders, they are new to the planet. My youngest included. He's 13 now, but when he came here, he used to toss stones up in the air and just like, what the hell is that doing? What's gravity? What's this solid object in my hand? And really had to navigate kind of like getting used to a physical body. So they're not going to want to know about the old density structures. They want to know about how to live at a higher frequency, and they will transform everything around them until it matches what they need, which is why so many of them seem so difficult. And they're not suited for the education system. They're not suitable to be medicated. They're not suitable to be stuffed full of numbers, because they just go absolutely off the rails kind of thing. It's funny enough, it's a perfect segue to plug my event on the 3rd of November, because I'm actually doing my final Sunday Night Ascension Club on the 3rd of November, and it's on this very subject, the golden children. I do feel it's going to be more of an educational session rather than a meditation, because we as parents need to know about this. We need to talk about it. We need to all gather in a room and talk about what our children need, because they are showing left, right, and centre what they will tolerate and what they won't tolerate. And it's up to us to provide that red carpet into the golden future for them.
Beautiful. Well, we'll definitely put the link for that, Tim. Thank you. And it's so true, because I mean, I know Kate and I have talked about this at length. The system that, the education system that stands as it is just not.
It's not fit for
serving them.
purpose.
It
really isn't. And I'm sorry if there's any teachers out there. I know my mother was a head teacher and an Ofsted inspector for years, and so I know the education system as it was, and I know what it is now, sort of thing. They're very, very different. They're very different creatures, and most of the people in the teaching system have the children's best interests at heart, and they want them to learn, they want them to grow, they want them to be happy. And I've been hearing some really beautiful news from different people recently about how kids are starting to kind of like bring healing and movement and more of the outside world, and even crystals into the classroom. And the kids are bang, they are straight on it. That's what they want to do. And again, I was talking to my friend Karen, who teaches kickboxing to a private school, and the kids just wanted to do visualizations. They wanted to go on, they wanted to journey, they wanted to connect with the unicorns and the elementals. And they are all sharing this field, and it's very, very special at the moment. So, you know, if I'm always asked what's the best crystal for my child, and I always say it's either rose quartz because it's soft, loving, and protective, or it's amethyst because it's basically the violet flame in solid form. And so if you're looking, or you need, or you want to kind of support your very sensitive child, furnish them with a crystal before they go to school. That's always been my kind of port of call for it.
Oh, there's so much wonderful advice in there. And yeah, my little one has created an amethyst grid on her bedroom shelf.
Yeah.
And it's just an intuitive thing that they do.
Yeah.
I love the fact that this, and they're, you know, as Karen's brought through, that they're so open and unashamedly wanting to connect with those energies. So it's exciting times.
It is exciting times, and we're going to see so much of it now. And it's all happening in a way that's almost, it's so fluidly being kind of inserted into our reality that we actually have to stop and kind of pinch ourselves. So hang on a second, is that actually really going on around me? Are people really talking like this? Are they doing these things? Because it's there, it's all around us. You hear these conversations in coffee shops or the gym, or everybody's waking up. You just got to look for it. If you're determined to see the bad in the world, then obviously that's what you will view. So look for the signs of awakening, especially within the children. It's amazing.
Love that. And I feel like one of the main messages is also, you know, the more we allow ourselves, everybody else, you know, in our space will be allowed to. So just don't be, not to be afraid, because I meet that very often, you know, people holding back, but it's no need, because it's everywhere around, as you say, Tim. Love that. And our beautiful golden children, such a masters. And again, in the education system, in my perspective, from my perspective, there's so many teachers that they are awake, and they bring so much beauty there, and they really do listen to them, and they really do attune to them. So there's so much. I love a lot of message of hope from you, Tim, today. I was hoping for that, and I received more than I expected. Thank you so much for that. So many nuggets, so much hope coming through. Thank you so much. And I feel like we're diving into the end, so we won't hold you too long, but we're hoping for you to come again. Maybe it's going to be our tradition to have you twice a year to give us updates, and then, you know, our motivational speech for half a year, and then we can roll on.
Giving up sort of thing. Yeah. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that.
And before we end, Tim, you have loads going on, so many events, and personally, I would love to know all of it and come to each one of them. Could you give us updates? What's coming up, you know, online and in person? What can we expect? Well,
I've got my event for the Golden Children on the 3rd of November, and then David Esther and I are running. And this is quite, he brought through like this mighty title for it, collapsing the third dimensional matrix. I'm like, yeah, I'm in for that. And that's basically a prelude for the December solstice online that I'll be doing with David, because we always do the solstices together. It's not available online yet, but I'll be doing a event around the 12/12 with Alice Heath as well. So it's all going on. It's all going on. And then yeah, any of the other stuff that's kind of in the mix it's probably not quite on the website yet, but I'm off to Stuttgart next February 22nd. So if you anybody fancies joining me in beautiful Stuttgart, that's up and available now, and seats are still available, but they won't be for long. So grab one if you fancy it.
Oh, so much. Oh, amazing stuff. And yeah, all these wonderful people that you collaborate with as well. It's just wonderful. Thank you. And thank you so much. As Kate said, such messages of hope and light and comfort. Yeah.
Thank you, Kirsty.
So,
Thank you, Kate, as well, for bringing me on. And I think we just need to have these conversations amongst ourselves and to talk about it. And if we're feeling kind of like off about something, to actually be on it, now's the time, like for as a parting message from me. Like, and I love what you said earlier on, Kate, about everybody that you meet as a master, because you know, like if you're out there listening to this and thinking, I'm not a master. You are, otherwise you wouldn't be here for this incredible like ascension party that we're going through. It's like a gathering of every single highly trained, unique, masterful soul from around the cosmos needed to be on Earth at this particular time. And so you're absolutely right there, Kate. I love that. I love that you've identified that and seen that within people, because it's so true. And so yeah, let's dive into a bit of shadow work over the next 4 weeks. Woo! And come out of it all shiny.
Oh, absolutely. We will do. But great to know that, as you say, we're all in it together and we've got each other's backs, and that's it. We're moving forward all the time. Oh,
most definitely.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Kirsty. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you so much.
Lots of love, and I'll see you both soon.
Will do. Bye.